Yeah, it's on its own tripod and it's just possessed. It does not care what I want. What's up, profitable stylist? Here we go this week. Sometimes you just got to say no,
But you don't.
but you don't ever say no. But sometimes you
Oh,
just got to say no.
hairdressers, please just practice. Just say no a few times. It's tough. And we have preached this in our meetings for weeks and weeks in a row, and then we'll have a client reverse their charges on a credit card because they're not happy about something, and then we tell the hairdresser what happened. Well, I I, I just knew it from the beginning. You knew it from the beginning. You just said it. You just said it. I knew it. She was crazy. It's like, was she crazy? Or were you crazy for saying yes? If you think you're not going to be able to do what the client wants, maybe you don't do it. It is okay to say no. And as a owner, I've passed a few levels of being checked on. So and I have to admit, I've gotten a little comfortable there, and admit that I do sometimes forget what it's like to be in certain positions I was in before. And I have to try to remind myself, you know what? This new stylist that comes to work for me, she doesn't know she can say no. She thinks she works for me. Customer comes in and asks for something. She should know how to do it. She thinks that she thinks that if can't do something, it's because she's not good enough yet, or she might have to fake it till she makes it, kind of thing.
But isn't the
And
customer always right?
that's the problem. No, no, they're definitely not. I mean, I believe that for a few years, took those sales training classes, and the customer's always right. And it didn't take long for me to, first of all, as an owner, realize, well, let's go back. Didn't take long for me to realize the customer was not always right, because not everybody is in the same mental capacity. And just because they come in and say they want something or show you a picture, it doesn't even mean it's possible. And the sad thing is, you end up learning that the hard way, no matter who you are. Oh, God, I guess there's a few that are smarter than us, but I will never forget Linda, that took me 2 days to finish doing, because she had black hair and she wanted to be blonde, and all I could get was orange. And by the end of like a day and a half, the second half of that second day, all we ended up doing was coloring her hair back dark.
After all that work, after all
Oh
that pain
my,
and suffering.
all that yellow, gold, and mostly orange. It didn't quite get into the yellow stage. It was orange. Her hair
And
was
she's just
so
back to dark.
dark. And I tried so many times, and now she's just got hair that's severely fried and damaged, and dry and shedding and falling out, a lot of it, not all of it. And it's back to where we started, the same exact color. And I don't charge her anything after 2 days of work. But that's the nightmare that I'll never forget as an early stylist. Linda, no, Linda, I should have said no.
You should have said, "Listen." Have you seen that thing? Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda.
That's what you should have done. You
Oh,
know,
she's a good she's a good friend of RJ's wife. Maybe they could figure out how to send her a link to this, and she can
yeah,
remember,
right, and
like,
then she can remember, and then she'll be mad at you
Linda,
all over again.
we should have never did that. I'm so sorry. But you
You
know
know,
what? That's where the other skills we've talked about in other videos come in. I stayed positive and as friendly as I could, and I am so sorry. I'm trying. I want to give you what you want. I didn't lose this customer. I kept her for many years. She loved me. I loved her. We had a good relationship. I tried. And so, going back to like how to keep clients, the relationship and the caring went a long way. Trying really hard, not charging her because I knew I was the one screwing up here. But from the beginning, I should have just said no, because then there's Cindy. I remember the freaking names of these nightmares. So then they got
we always
Cindy.
do. We never remember the good ones. We always remember the nightmares. Nightmares and
So
crazies.
I should name these techniques.
Yeah, right.
Don't do the Linda, do the Cindy. because this is how it should be done. I said, Miss Cindy, we should not put hair extensions on the top of your head. And she said, but I'm really thin up here and I want more hair up there. I said, I know, but they're going to show. And she said, do them smaller. I said, but they're going
Yeah,
to
just
show.
do them smaller.
Yeah. And after like a couple of years, I'm starting to realize Miss Cindy has a lot of money and she drives a real expensive car, lives in a big, nice house. She has these expensive purses. Why am I telling her no? I just need to tell her yes in the right way. So I said, Miss Cindy, you keep asking me for extensions on the top of your head. I don't, you know, I'm really good at this and I'm going to do the best job that could possibly be done. And I'll cut these things. We put extensions everywhere else, but I said, well, we'll cut them up really small. We're doing keratin bonds, sheet hair keratin bonds. I'll cut them up in fourths. They'll be teeny tiny bonds. We'll put them on the top of your head. It'll be $1,800. It's going to take 2 or 3 hours to do. I'm pretty sure you won't like it, but you will know. Then you'll stop asking if you don't like it, or will prove me wrong. My best guess is you are not going to like it. It's going to be a big fail. It's possible. At least this is possible to do. Like turning black to blonde was not, I should have known was not even possible. But on her, it's possible to do. I still could have kept saying no. I thought I'd learned my lessons. I knew how to say no. But instead, in this case, it's like, it is possible. Maybe I just need to tell her my opinion about it and still let her make the choice if I'm willing to do it. And so I got tired of telling her no. She was persistent. And I said, it'll cost you about $1,800 to find out who was right. It was worth it to her. She gave it a good try for about 3 or 4 days. And then I said, I looked into the future and I was like, and then I'm going to charge you $100 to remove them. Maybe more if you get them removed sooner, because it's going to be harder when they're brand new. 3 days later, she's like, you were right. I cannot style it in a way to hide them. I can tell you did. I mean, I was up over the top of her head. You know, she had to look down. And
Yeah.
it was not a fun job. And I spent hours doing this tiny little tedious work, intricate work. And it was just not that good looking. You know, and
There
so
is nothing that ever looks good.
on top of the head extension. So at least she knew. For years after, she'd recommend to other clients in the salon. They're like, I'm thinking about getting. She's like, don't do it.
Nah,
Again,
right, because they become your mouthpieces, basically.
yes.
You know?
So I mean, again, I did her hair for years. She still stayed a great customer because it was that good working relationship. We laughed a lot. I said, we'll give it a try. Any special events coming up? Because you don't want to do it right before that, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a big fail. Let's do this in a downtime, maybe even over a weekend where you don't have to go to work, because I don't think you're going to want to go to work like this. Let's do it on a Friday. You got the whole weekend to decide. We'll remove Monday if you have to.
That's so funny.
So
It's so funny.
just, it's a shame that most people seeing this will agree with us and then go ahead and go through the learning experience anyway. And that I hate. Why don't you take my advice? Realize some things are just not possible. Take your advice also. Do you have any like really big fails that you learned the hard way like that also?
All the time.
Still.
All the time. Okay, look, I'll actually give you a good one, because I'm actually going through this tonight. Yeah. And you know, that's the funniest thing when people tell me, they're like, "Oh, how do I get as good as you?" I say, "You got to keep making mistakes. You got to
Keep messing up.
You got to keep messing up." They're like, "No, come on, you don't mess up." I go, "I mess up all the time." So if you don't swing hard for the fences, you're never going to hit a home run, as the expression goes.
Right. They strike out a lot.
And I strike out a lot because I'm trying insane things. I get ideas.
Yeah.
And there is nobody to check me with my ideas. You know, like we were talking about, who do we learn from? And
right,
if there
I'm not afraid to say no anymore as the owner, because nobody's going to fire me.
Nobody's going to fire me, right? So I go like this. Last week, my client comes in and she says, I want something different. I says, no, you don't. She says, no, really, I do. I want something different. She goes, the summer's coming, the spring's coming, whatever season's coming. She goes, I want to change. I says, okay, what color do you want to be? She goes, well, I don't know. That's why I come to see you. I say, you don't like gold? No, I don't want to be brassy. You don't like red? No, I don't want to be warm. You don't like copper? Oh my gosh, dear God, no, 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 no. Okay. I said there is ashy color, there is natural color, and there's warm color. You have three choices. Well, I don't want to look natural. I hate my natural. I go, right. It's why we make you ashy. So you have three choices. Two of the choices you don't like. So we keep you ashy. I can make you a different variation of ashy, which is what we do for you all the time anyways. And you've been totally fine and content. She goes, nah, I don't care. I just want something different. I go, look, I'm going to tell you this. Let's have an experiment. Kind of along the lines similar to what you were talking about. I says, let's do an experiment. I said, I'm going to put some color in your head. If you don't like it, you better call me and you better let me know, because next Thursday I have an opening. And you come in next Thursday night, I'll fix it for you. If you don't come in by next Thursday night, you're stuck with this for the next month. That's all I'm saying. She had came in, this was from Saturday. She goes, well, why Thursday? What if I don't like it? I got to wait all week? I go, yeah, you have to live with yourself all week so you can remember. I want that burned into your brains that you don't like this. So next time you decide you want to change and I tell you, no, you don't, you're going to remember this. She called on Tuesday. No, she called on, she left a voicemail in the salon on Monday saying she hated her hair. And then she called on Tuesday saying, squeeze me in. And I said, no, I'll see you on Thursday. I've already got you on my book at 5:30. I'll see you on Thursday. And she goes, you've already made me. I go, I knew you wasn't going to like it. Yeah, I already booked out time to fix it. I said, I'll see you Thursday night. I ain't going to squeeze you in. No, I told you, you're going to live with this till Thursday. She goes, you're so mean. You know that?
Right.
No. She said, you're really rude. I said, I am never rude. I said, sometimes I'm mean. She goes, right now you're being really mean. That's what it was. And I said, yes, I am. I'm being super mean. But this was our consult on Saturday. I'm sticking to my word. You agreed. You got to stick to your part of the agreement too. I'll see you Thursday night. So I'll let you know what happens tomorrow. But yeah, I'm going to fix it tonight.
Tomorrow. Oh yeah, so that's tonight.
It's tonight. Yeah, tonight. So that was Saturday. And I said no. She kept pushing. And here's the thing. Last week we were talking about whose fault is it when something goes wrong. And one of the things I was harping on last week was about lack of communication. So then the other two things I was saying was poor planning and unexpected events.
Oh yeah.
This goes right into my example. On Saturday, I made sure that communication was solid. She understood everything that was about to happen. She agreed to everything that was about to happen. Now, just because that communication happened, it goes into the next phase, which is planning. I had a plan. I told her, if you don't like it, I need to know immediately next Thursday, we'll fix it. I had already decided in my mind, I have a backup plan. And I do that every single time I try something different. Every single time I do a consultation to a client, I give them two choices. It says, you can have your hair this way, you can have your hair that way. I always have a backup plan for anything I do, just in case. Call me paranoid, call me experienced, however you want to say it. So that's my planning. And then the unexpected event was she called on Tuesday saying, well, she called on Monday, left a message. We were closed on Monday. She called on Tuesday, says, squeeze me in. I can't stand this. I was not expecting that to happen. I could have folded and I could have crumbled and said, okay, just come in and you know, we'll just do whatever you want. Or I stood my ground and I says, no, the plan is you coming in on Thursday, because I got blocked off enough time where I am comfortable in sound mind and I have my notes, how I'm going to approach this. Had I squeezed her in on Tuesday or Wednesday, unexpectedly, unprepared, now I'm rushing because she's squeezed in between. I love when clients say, can't you just squeeze me in?
Yeah.
And I love when stylists say, "Oh, I'll just squeeze you in." It is the most, I know we can't cuss, but blows my mind how this mentality of, sure, no big deal. I'll just slap you on top of somebody else and magically everything will go just fine. Especially with hair color. That's the most time consuming process because we got to wait for it to process. Anyways, those are the things, the planning. That's what I want to talk about a little bit today, too, is planning and unexpected events.
So what we did was to start trying to alleviate some of the problem was we said we need a before and after picture of the client. And if the client shows you a picture of what they want, we want that in our group chat too. So if they say, I was hoping to get this curl, color, highlight, low light, put that in the group chat that we all talk
Mm.
in so that we can see what they wanted before and after. Because what the clients are doing too often these days is reversing the charges on their credit card. If they're a salon hopper and they're trying to get
Yeah.
some free color, they come in, they say they didn't get what they wanted, they complain to the credit card company to get their money back. We dispute it sometimes, and if it's pretty obvious that it's a habitual liar or scammer, a lot of times get to keep the money. But sometimes it's hard to prove. And if we have pictures that we can show the credit card company, look, this is what they came in like, this is what they left like, and this is what they asked for, it's going to help us out. But going even back a little bit further, the picture. How often my stylist will say, well, she said she wants this, and this is what I did. And I'll say, and what do you have the picture that you guys? We didn't use a picture. You used just words. You think that from this client's brain processing coming out of their mouth into your ears, into your brain, trying to re-explain it back and then make it happen with your hands. Do you see how many spots you could lose a little bit of information there? They have a picture in their head. They tell it to you. You think you're going to recreate that
Yeah.
from just, yeah. You really, I mean, it's so easy these days with pictures. I can see in the back in the day when we had 2 to 10 books just kind of sitting on the counter there, hairstyle and hair color books. We didn't have the internet in the beginning. So I can look through that book, find a thing closest to the color cut you want, or bring a picture in of a friend. They would bring actual photos in of somebody cut out of a magazine, at least. That was our internet back then, right?
Mm.
Magazines. Flip through the magazines, find something you like, and at least have a visual. That's way more descriptive. But with the freaking internet, how can you not find? You can literally put the words in of what you're describe what you're wanting in the Google search, and it'll come up with hundreds of images. And just a little secret, guys, when you do this search, press the button images right underneath that, and then you'll have all kind of pictures, and then pick something. So at least from there, do a better consultation, because that's the part that I am blown away with, is that no pictures are used. And then when the picture's used, that's when you can say, this is not a real person.
The thing what you got to keep in mind though, when their clients are showing the picture, the number one thing that gets missed is the stylist doesn't take into consideration that that color and or haircut style is going to work for the client's type of hair. There's two things happening. When we look at a picture as a stylist, we'll say, "Yeah, I could do that." And I'm sure you can. I'm 100% confident a lot of hairdressers and a lot of stylists could replicate what they see in a picture with the color and the haircut.
Right.
But does the client's type of hair good enough to support that type of color and that type of style? I think that's where the big disconnect in the planning comes in all the time.
Yeah, and a lot of pictures are real, but with filters these days, my point was just like, make sure that it's not lighting. Like, look at this girl behind me. Some people will say, I want this color, but are they talking about this color or this dark section right here? So, is it the brassiness here, or is it the yellowy golden here? The client will see one little circle on that hair and be like, that's the white that I want. And they don't see any of the other color. And so even a picture sometimes. They'll say, I want that brunette tint color. I want my hair
You know, you know
jet black
Carmelina,
like that.
and
What?
you know Carmelina's curls.
Yep.
I'll tell you, she comes up to me the one day, she has one of her curls in her hand off her head, and she goes, "See, this is the Beyonce blonde that I want." She found one highlight in her curl. This is the Beyonce blonde that I want. I'm like, who the hell is Beyonce? She goes, you know the singer Beyonce. She listens to that music. I'm like, okay, now I gotta go on Google. Who is Beyonce? You know, like an
Oh
idiot.
my
Here
God.
is
How can you
six
not know who Beyonce is?
billion. Yeah, right. That's what everybody keeps telling me. How do I not know who she is? I don't listen to that kind of music,
Right.
and I don't
So
watch television. So now I'm looking at all these images of Beyonce. She's got 50 million different hairstyles and colors going on. And
right.
so now I'm holding her hair. I go, bring your hair up to the screen on the computer and just tilt your head over to the monitor so I can, try to match up that one curl on all these pictures. She goes, get out of here. Go away. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, so many people have synthetic wigs on their heads, and people are trying to match human hair to a synthetic wig color, which is
It's
difficult
insane.
also.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
so between wigs and synthetic hair and filters, and I like the forums these days because that's calling people out. They'll put it on a forum. How do I get this color? And people will say that's not a true color. That's a synthetic fiber color that's not even achievable sometimes. Sometimes it's not achievable on human hair, or the person's hair won't get to that color depending on what it is. So knowing your limitations, and you know what? If you have some doubt, we were doing consultations. I think I might have said this last week. We were doing consultation practice in the salon the other day, and I was a little surprised because Brennan, my son, probably second biggest producer in the salon. Well, I had who I think is third or fourth, Vivian, practice a consultation. She did a good job, loved it. Then I said, Brennan, do a consultation on this person for highlights. Now, Brennan doesn't do highlights, so I was curious where he was going to go with this. He's not actually having to do it. It's a mock, so maybe he'll just fake it and act like he's going to do it. And he says, "What do you want?" She said what she wants. "Have you had it before? Were you happy?" He did all the steps I taught, and then he goes, "Oh, I think that's going to look great. Now let me help you find a stylist that will do that for you." And I was like, that is a way to say no. Sometimes it is possible. You just can't do it.
It's amazing to me. The other thing that's fascinating to me is stylists are willing to put in painstaking work and dedicate hours of their time to try to accomplish that work. What is the hang up? Why are you willing to spend 3 hours, 2, 3 hours doing this heavy balayage or foilage or ombre or whatever, and you're painstakingly willing to take that chance to tear up somebody's hair chemically? But this notion of I cannot add hair into your hair for the same price, or I can't, I have to do it with hair color and chemicals. There is no other way the client will ever accept that there are other options. You can do a clip on, a clip in, a wig, an extension, a hair extension, and anything else. Why does it always have to be painstakingly chemical process to achieve whatever the style and the color wants to be?
I remember in the early days, Britney Spears had low lights in her hair, some black streaks,
Yeah.
and the girl, it was in a magazine. The girl brings it to me, shows it to me, and says, "I want my color to look like this. Can you do my lowlights like that?" And I said, "God, that looks like it might be hair extensions in there." And she said, "Oh, it is. That's what it says in the article. I just thought we would do it with color." And I said, "But I do hair extensions. It's actually less expensive, faster, and the color will stay longer because this girl had her hair bleached by doing it herself for I don't know how long. I had no idea how healthy her hair was. It didn't look that healthy. And I thought, black is the only color her hair actually might hold. Is
You're
if I
right.
put black. But if I tried to do any other color, it's probably going to fade because she just had no integrity on this blonde hair. But if I did any color brown to black hair extensions, they were going to stay. It was going to be a definite color. It was going to add no more chemicals to the hair. And so we ended up doing that. But the hairdressers have to know to recommend these things that are better for the client than what they don't know all the answers. The client doesn't know all the answers. And in some cases, us hairdressers don't know all the answers or have the skills. And so it's okay to pass it on at that time or do something in the middle. This is when you can take the opportunity for growth. And I might say to somebody who in that situation, you know what? I've been wanting to do this, but I've never done it before. I will do it at a discount for free, greatly reduced. I'm going to do it on my day off because I don't want to be squeezed in between clients. I have no idea if I can do it, how fast it's going to be, how slow it's going to be, how bad I might mess up. I think I can do it and give the confident, I don't know, motivational speech that you can possibly do it. And the client has to make the decision. Do they believe or trust in you? And so many people I've found these days, depending on, especially if they're teenagers or 20s, yeah, try it, you know? Especially if it's free.
Then
Use
I'm
the
going to do a public service announcement
Okay.
to everybody listening, whether you're the hairdresser, the stylist, or whether you're the client. If your service is going to be between $200 to $400 to achieve whatever color and style you're looking to get, just know that you could do it with hair extensions. It'll cost the same amount, sometimes even less. It'll last 3 times longer. It'll take 2 hours less. And you will be that much more happier because you'll have more hair. You'll have more fullness. You'll have more volume. You'll have more thickness. You will get a lot more attention. Your pictures will look a million times better.
And you didn't even mention dimensional color.
And dimensional color, solid color, highlighted color, whatever style you could possibly imagine can be achieved. Okay? So again, if you're going to spend between $200 to $400 to get a service done, be open-minded and use all the tools available out there to you.
And obviously all over blonding is not something you're going to do with extensions. So there are things, but what made extensions really, and this wasn't supposed to be an extension video, but extensions does solve a lot of the problems or challenges that a client's coming in. It solves a lot of the, I should say problem, but it gives the client what they're asking for, but they don't even know that extensions would do it. It does take a stylist to say it, because when hair color went from not being all the way to the root on every single client, that's when extensions came in as a real strong contender for what you're talking about right now. For a long time, color and highlights, it was like all the way down to the scalp. The variation was in the darker lightness of the color, the boldness of the highlight, but people still wanted it all the way down to the scalp. And that was an extension that was difficult to mimic color on. But now with root melts, rooted, all the different ombre balayage melt situations where it's much different from the scalp down, and then the color starts to pop somewhere in the mid shaft to ends. You're right. You can hide those bonds or rings or beads or whatever and do it with extensions most of the time.
Forget all this bleeding, forget all the washout, forget all the fading, forget all the oh, I gotta fill, I can't fill, I'm good enough to foil, I'm not good enough to foil, you know, blah 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 blah. It's just not worth the headache. Plan your service properly. Plan it out properly. And I love the example you gave with Brennan. If you don't feel good enough or strong enough to be able to accomplish what's being asked for, refer. People ask me about updos all the time. I say, yeah, that would look fantastic. Let me introduce you to Sabrina.
Right.
She'll knock it out for you in 20 minutes. I'm all thumbs.
Yes.
We'll be here for 3 hours and you'll be crying when I get done with you.
For you stylists that are a little confused on when you should say no or when you shouldn't say no.
All the time, every time. You should say no every single time to any question ever.
Yeah. But I'm going to give a little bit of something that I kind of learned through experience, because we're talking about updos. Like you and I, we're not even going to attempt an updo. We're not even going to try it. We're not even going to put it on the menu. We're not even going to say, oh, if somebody begged, okay, I'll do it. I just
No.
can't.
No.
Right. It just, we know so clearly that we're not going to make a bride happy on her wedding day doing an updo. She would look so stupid
So
if
stupid.
I tried.
So
Right.
stupid.
So I'm not, so that is a super clear no for me. And then there are like things that I'm amazing at, and we have a clear yes. That middle area is where I think it's difficult, because in some ways, yes, you should be learning new services. When you're a newer stylist, when you're still building your career, figuring out what you like to do. I mean, I did manicures, pedicures, facials. I did everything to try to. I even tried updos. I went to a class in New York with another stylist to an updo class. I bought all of the Martin Parsons VHS videos. Later, when he had the DVDs, I bought those. I bought some other guys. I kept getting motivated by these updos at hair shows. I'd go and watch, and it was, oh God, it's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
They make it look so easy.
So easy,
so
right?
Buy the discs, and then or whatever, put it on the TV. I got my mannequin ready. I'm like, I just can't do it.
I know.
I don't know if I didn't have the passion, the fingers, I don't know, I just couldn't do it. And so I tried. I'm telling you guys, I tried. And you should try to do some new things. I did the airbrush tanning when it was a little bitty airbrush gun. I did the tanning was a big giant sprayer. I tried all the new services. I tried eyelash extensions. I was a little past my prime for my eyeballs to do eyelash extensions. I could not freaking see the one little lash to put on the one little lash. I had to get the big giant magnifying glass, and then I'm always bumping screens, and so I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. So I just got to the point where it's like, you know what? I tried a bunch of things. I found the things I really like to do, and then I just laser focused on those things and dropped some off. Even dropped some off that I was pretty good at. I'm pretty good at styling hair, but you know what? I could hire an assistant that would do the shampooing, which I'm super good at. I mean, I teach shampooing classes, got huge tips doing it, but it's time consuming. And I could get an assistant to shampoo, blow dry, and style, and double, triple my booking time and make much more money. So then as I had the assistant do more, I was doing less, or the more important things. So you do have to start off by like just trying everything. And then you start narrowing it down. Even when you're doing everything, there's still some just say no situations that aren't possible. But if it's not possible because you don't know how to do it, maybe you want to learn it. Maybe you want to practice on that client, use them as a learning experience. But for you stylists that have been doing this for 10 years or more, what advice would you give? Because this is you do want to still maybe learn some new things. You don't want to get stuck in your old ways, but you don't need to be learning everything. And that's a tough one for me, because
yeah,
you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I really like what you said. There are some things that you just definitely know they're just not in your wheelhouse. They're a definite no. And I really like what you said, that there are some things you are really good, you're really good at. It's a definite yes. And then you were saying there's that in between. And I think that's the advice. That in between, when somebody asks you a question, or when somebody shows you an image, or when somebody requests something, if your initial gut feeling, if your initial go-to isn't, yeah, I got this, or no, what, I can't do that, right? If you're left with that in-between thing of, yeah, maybe I could probably do that, or
No!
I don't know if I can do that, right? If you think you might be able to do that, think about it hard. And if your initial thing is, I'm not sure I could do that, think about that equally as hard too. because your confidence level right in there and that pressure, human nature, I was talking about human nature last week too. Human nature, we are taught, we are conditioned from when we are little to be rewarded for good behavior. And we do it to our kids, we do it to animals, we just do it in society. When you do something good, you get a reward. So we're always trying hard to do something to get that reward. So we want and with the stylists, excuse me, with the clients, it's such a personalized relationship. We always want them to feel good. And this is something I was saying to you, if they're not feeling okay, it makes us not feel okay. And then everybody is sad. But you can't have both people not be okay. One person always has to be good, whether they want to or not. We've become that proxy designated person. Even when we're not feeling good, we have to push through that and feel good for the sake of the client, And if the client's not feeling good, why would you push that even further to mess that up? Now they're going to feel worse. So if you're not 100% confident in your ability to do something, if you don't immediately have a plan of action come to mind on how you're going to be able to tackle whatever they're asking you to do, and you got to spend a minute to really think hard about it, that's going to be my advice. In that situation, forget your pride, forget your ego, step away. Just step back. That's when you just say no. And how you say no, I like how you're saying it too. Doesn't just have to be a flat out no. Sit down. I sit down a lot in a consultation. I'm usually standing in front of the client and I'm usually trying to lean back in my station so I can try to get a little more eye level with them. But when it comes down to having to say, no, I'm not going to do this for you, a lot of the time I'll take a knee and and now they're up here and I'm looking up at them. Or I'll grab the next chair, the next station over, and I'll sit in that chair for a second and I'll just get eye to eye and I'll say, all right, look, we're going to have our coming to Jesus talk with each other. Okay, you need Jesus in your life right now. And I got to tell you, this ain't going to happen. You ain't going to get to heaven with this. And they'll look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. I'm not sure how to go about to do this. Either we got to find somebody else or we got to choose something else. Yeah. And that's the best thing about proper planning that I can say. Because then the only thing left after that is unexpected events that come up. And those are my two things that I got for this week, because we talked about the lack of communication last week.
Yep. Unexpected. The client gets their hair done and they're like, turn to the mirror.
Yeah, don't you love it? I hate it.
I don't like it.
Wait, what?
Or they say they like it and they call tomorrow and they hate it. I mean, either way, it's like,
which one is worse? Which one is worse? When they tell you they hate it right there as soon as they turn around, or when they call you the next day?
They both have their downsides. I almost rather them call the next day because the other clients in the salon don't hear it. If we got a packed salon and they're like, I don't like it, I'm not paying. They don't say that, but
no, right.
But if they pay and go, oh, that's probably worse, because you're thinking, why didn't you say something yesterday? Why didn't you say something yesterday? Why did you pay? God, I got kicked everything. I can't get out of this little. Why did you say something? And then, I know my stylist, they're saying, she said she liked it. She had her friend with her. Her friend liked it. Yeah, she gets home and her husband's like, you went dark?
No, did you do anything?
or that. What do you think, honey? About what? I mean, what?
Yeah, right. About what? What?
My hair. It's the
you
same.
Still look the same to me.
No, the worst is the expensive services. They spend a bunch of money to go from light to dark, or lights to low lights. I'm going dark for the winter, and their husband's like, I married a blonde. What? Why would you do that? Why would you go dark? And then all of a sudden, they hate their hair. No, you loved your hair.
Oh.
Your husband hates your hair. If you're going to let him control your hair, maybe you should have talked to him before you got your hair done. It's fine. It's fine if you guys need to agree on your hair color, but shouldn't that have been a conversation before you came here? You wanted it, you liked it, you paid for it. So that's when it's difficult because then what do you do as a stylist? It's a little bit of a different situation because now it's like, do you oh God, going back blonde, first of all, that's a miserable situation. And then do you charge? I mean, you can decide. If you do, she may not come back. She may not come back if you charge. She might not even get it done by you if you're going to charge. You may lose the client forever. Do you maintain the relationship and try to meet somewhere in the middle? Most of the time they understand, like, I know it's all my fault. You did what I wanted. I liked it. I screwed up. I shouldn't have done it. I don't mind paying. That's fine. Your hair is going to suffer for this, but maybe we can get back there. So, but that's I mean that is common actually. But what about the one where they just don't like their hair and they just don't think you did what they asked for? And I've got two feelings about this. I don't know who's right or wrong, but I hate it when the hairdresser gets mad about it and says, "Well, that's ridiculous. Her hair looked great when she left. I gave her what she wanted. It looks just like the picture. She liked it when she left." Well, she doesn't now, and she's human. And are we going to have a relationship with this person or not? You want to just tell her, we don't care. She's going to reverse the charges. You're not going to get paid for it. You're going to have to give the money back, and you've lost the client forever. I don't care. She wasn't nice anyway. How are you going to build I don't know. I don't know if I just was born different, raised different. A lot of people say I'm not that. You know, some people will be like, "You're a tough boss. You're not that caring." But then on the other hand, people will say that you do too much free work. I care about people's feelings. I want them to. I I don't even care if I thought it looked good when they left and they don't like it. It's not. They pay me to get what they want. So I respect that and I try hard to do it. And if I'm off the mark a little, maybe that should have been handled in the consultation. You know, you want this? Okay, are you sure? What if this was a good one for me. This really saved me a lot in the past. Doesn't matter what it was, but my next question when I feel like I've got the target honed in, I'm pretty freaking close to knowing exactly what they want. They want this right here. They want the gold color of this whole picture. And then I say, what if? Because I hope you know chemicals and color is not an exact science. You know, we don't just punch in a couple buttons and boom, it's going to be exactly that. Between your hair porosity, color, I mean, humidity, timing, processing. There's so many things that could alter it a little bit if we were going to be a little off. Would you prefer it a little darker or a little lighter, or a little more highlight or a little less highlight? And then you know which way to push your potential mistake. And that has saved me a lot because you never know what that answer is. They might say, "Oh God, you know what? If you were gonna get a little off on the highlights, I'd rather be more blonde." Well, I go a little more blonde, make them happier. Or, "Oh no, I don't want to look like a hooker." You know what? Whatever their brain is about the color they're wanting. Because like when I did my wife's red highlights way back when we were first dating, you couldn't even see them on her head. But she had never had highlights before, and I did red highlights, and she looked in the mirror and she's like, "This is hooker red." The other stylists are like, "You can't even see the highlights on your head." But for her, it was dramatically different. I could barely see it. Her hair was curly. You could barely see the highlights, but she felt completely changed. So for her, it would have been, if it's going to look like a lot or a little, she would have picked the little. And so I was safe. She didn't want them redone. She took her a day or two to get used to seeing them, and she was fine. But most people want a little more when it's blonde. When they go in dark, they want it a little darker. But you've also got to think about this. I tell my stylist, actually, a friend in another state this is terrible advice from a hairdresser to a friend. He says, Bernard, I'm getting older. I got some grays. I'm going to color my hair. What do you recommend? Are we supposed to teach people how to color their own hair? Usually not. But he's a man in another state. We went to high school together. And, the same advice I'm giving him, I'd give stylists or the stylist in my own salon. If you're gonna highlight or color somebody's hair, think about it. If you're gonna make a mistake, what mistake is easier to fix? If you go a little too light, or if you go a little too dark?
Too light.
Yeah, right. You can always cover up a little bit. And so that was always my advice. If they're just lifting a level or two with color, most people like their hair a little lighter anyway. So if you're going for a dark brown, but I don't want to be black, well, don't risk color 2 and 3. Start with 4 or 5. Go if 4 or 5 is darker than what they have now, try that first. And if they're like, I really wanted it darker, so easy.
So easy.
So easy. But
it's
if they say, you know what, I needed it a little lighter. Oh my God, now we're bleaching and toning and maybe toning again and fading and doing it again next week. So think about the potential fix before you get there. If I mess up a little, which way would you like me to mess up? And then which mess up's easier to fix? Yeah, you got that answer right, and you got it pretty quick because you're a colorist.
I hope so. I hope so. No, it's, the thing with the unexpected events is this is something that I'll do when a client first comes in to the salon. And I'm talking about somebody who you've been doing continuously. I'm not talking about a new client. It's harder to predict an unexpected event with a new client.
That's right.
Because you just don't know the person. So you have no idea what's going on. But with clients who come in regularly and have been in, I'll always ask a question along the lines of, how is your life this week? And they always think like, yeah, you're laughing. Right.
I think that's funny because you're already judging like, how happy are they going to be?
How happy are they going to be? And
no matter how good I am.
It's so funny because everybody thinks because of my accent, they're like, oh, you're trying to ask, how was your day? Like they think because I always goof up sayings, or because I'm always questioning, like, what is that saying? I've never heard about that expressions before. So every time I say, how has your life been this past week? They're like, oh, you're asking how's your day? Oh, it's fine. I'm doing good. Or, life. No.
Your life.
I'm not saying anything incorrectly, sweetheart. I want to know what your past week in your life has been.
Because it's going to directly affect how much you like your hair today. That's it. I'm a psychologist.
Yeah. So it's something that I ask. And then, it just gives me a little bit of an insight to see how aggressive or how much do I need to pull back? How much do I have to kind of go along with what crazy they're about to say to me? Or how much can I resist saying no to how much crazy is about to come out their mouth?
That's funny. Yeah, that's good.
But then as the hairdressers, we got to look at that and we got to evaluate that ourselves too. Because if we're having a bad week, man, do we take it out on the clients. You ever have a client who likes to talk and they're a talker and you're just not having it that day? They want to come in and tell you about everything and you're just like, I am not listening to anything today. And you just have the blow dryer going or you have the music a little louder in the salon that day or
And if you have a good relationship with a client, you can somehow nicely
you just nicely just knock them off the chair. Just throw them out of the chair.
You can say it. I had clients, you get to know each other so well that they would say, I'm getting extensions today. I need them done faster than usual. I know you work faster when we don't talk. So we're just not going to talk today. Okay. Either I say it or they say it. I'm like, hey, I think we have 30 minutes less than usual today. Do you mind if I just work and not talk for a little while because that way neither one of us will be running late. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So communication again. Communication is key. They got this new guy that I say new guy. Somebody recommended him. My wife wanted her car detailed for Mother's Day, so I got this new guy that we just met to come and detail the car, and the, he's so freaking good with the communication.
Hmm.
We scheduled a couple days early. When he wakes up in the morning, he's texting me, just getting started with my first car in about 30 minutes. I'm thinking, so I'm not seeing you till later. Why are you telling me now? It's his way of letting me know play by play through the day how it's running. The car looks cleaner than I expected, might be running earlier. And I said, hours earlier? He said, no, just keeping you informed. I said, oh, okay. Because I'm thinking he wasn't supposed to be there till 1. He's telling me at like 9 in the morning he might be running early. I'm thinking maybe he's coming at 10. I don't know how
Yeah,
early he means.
right.
Then he says, just got finished the first car, gonna run home, pick up more products, go to lunch. Then I have to drive to Mandeville to see you guys. Still looks like I'll be running 20 minutes early. It's a lot of information. I'm thinking I don't really need to know blow by blow, but it's kind of cool. I feel like I'm ordered an Uber and I know exactly where he is at all times, you know. And
Your
I thought,
driver is 3 stops away.
yeah, I thought I don't think I care about all this, but I kind of am a little bit of a voyeur. I'm like, oh, I kind of like knowing where he's at. Why? I don't know why. I kind of, as a business owner, I'm like kind of evaluating how he runs his business.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's a good kid. He's stopping at home to eat. He says, I'm thinking, oh, he's good, responsible, saving money, eating at home. Picking up more supplies from home, not from the store. He orders extra stuff ahead of time. So I don't know. Whatever, the communication does a lot for people. That's my business mind analyzing everything he said. Somebody else might be thinking other things. Oh, how sweet he is. He's probably stopping at home to say hi to his wife or his kids or whatever. He's young. He doesn't have kids yet and he's only engaged. But there's the communication. It just helps no matter what. I don't think he realizes how much I loved the communication. When he got there, I had never met him before. And when he was, I'm like, hey, Jonathan, I feel like I know you
See the
because
difference?
I know everywhere you've been today. We might have been to some of the same places. I just felt like with all the stops that he's made, I feel like I was with him all day long. So the communication did something. It was so stupid simple, but what a builder it did for me. I was way more forgiving of everything. As a matter of fact, an Amazon truck driver got stuck on the road in our area. He went and tried to help him get out unstuck for like an hour and a half in the middle of our car cleaning. So he ends up going after dark and says, I got to come back the next day to finish. Is that okay? I feel terrible. We're like, that's fine because I liked him so much. No problem. Come on by tomorrow. It's not a big deal. We'll finish it then. You're doing such a great job. You're so nice. You're so communicative. So the communication helped. If it had been some lazy guy working slow, didn't communicate with me, and he's not done by the end of the day, I'd probably be all like, well, dude, if you'd have showed up earlier, if you'd have did this,
Yeah,
I would
right,
have been
right.
judging him. But his like so much communication, I was so willing just to forgive everything and anything.
It built up intrinsic value. It built up a perceived value up front.
Yep,
So when
it
some
did.
when and then that was an unexpected event. He ran longer than he anticipated. It got dark. He had to come back and finish up the next day. But
Right,
because of that great feeling that got built up prior, you were a lot more accepting of that unexpected event. So yeah,
right,
communication is definitely key. Dealing with the human condition and the human nature is the most difficult thing we do. Feeling good, feeling okay, making somebody else feel good and feel okay is a hard thing to deal with. At the end of the day, every self-help book, every Dr. Phil moment, every self-motivation thing, every psychological thing, everybody's always saying communication, communication, the key to success, the key to business, the key to marriage, the key to relationship, key to family, key to life is some being on some form of communication. So you gotta You got to be willing to be open. You got to be willing to listen. And you got to be willing to know when is the right time to say yes and say no.
Just say no.
That's my sign off for the week. I don't know if you want to keep going, but that's my sign off for the week.
Done. Said it all.
Let us know in the comment section. How do you say no? Do you say no? Are you afraid to say no? Ooh.